Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today's an exciting day. We may be getting close to breaking Bitcoin all-time highs, and so that's a pretty big deal. And I am curious to see what's going to happen to the markets when we get there. Let's take this indicator off. So the very all-time high for Bitcoin, it was set in November of 2021, and the price was something around 69,044, and we are very, very close to that. So if we zoom way in, we got up to 68,582. We are very close to breaking the all-time high. So maybe you're wondering what's going on with Bitcoin. Are we going to break through the all-time highs? I'm going to try to talk with you guys about the bull and bear case scenarios that I think maybe could happen, possibly. So strap yourselves in. And if we start by taking a look at the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, with all my favorite advertisements from Temu, here you can get this Star Wars thing, some body armor, and whatever the hell that is. So we are in extreme greed. We were at just in the 80s a couple days ago, the low 80s. We have shot up to 90. So like I say, be very cautious when there's greed, especially extreme greed. And we have not been this high in greed since two other times. When we got to the first top for Bitcoin back in, well, the very first top was March to May of 21. But before that, in December of 2020, let's take a look where that was. December of 2020, we were getting close to breaking all-time highs in there. Let's actually go to the chart here. So December of 2020, that is when we broke all-time highs from the prior cycle, which topped in 2017. The other time that fear and greed was this high, actually a little bit higher, around 95, was the mid-cycle top. And the mid-cycle top, that was right here. So after we topped in 2017, late 2017, that's when the altcoins pumped to. We had that big sell-off. Greed has not been as high since we were here and since we were about here. But when you look at the rainbow chart, it really doesn't, you can't see that this was, that in here was higher than there. It's easier to see it on this chart. So December of 2020, when we broke all-time highs, and here. Those were the two spots, here and here. So right now, you may be wondering, well, which one is it? Are we having a mid-cycle top, or because we're going to break all-time highs, maybe we're closer to this and we're getting close to finishing the bull run overall? Guys, I'll be frank with you. I don't know. I'm going to present a case for both. So hang with me here. One of the cases that we could look at is Bitcoin dominance. And if we zoom out on Bitcoin dominance, zoom way out, something to know is that when Bitcoin dominance tanks, you can see here, this was the December of 2017. When it tanks, that's when altcoins run and go parabolic to new all-time highs. Altcoins have been running, but they haven't been running as high as they've been before. So many have been running recently, but not as high as they've been before. And so here you can see again, the dates on the bottom, by the way, when we had that first Bitcoin top, like I showed you here, that first top. So here's what I'm showing you, where dominance tanks. That was right here and right here. Where is that on the Bitcoin dominance charts? Well, that's right in here when dominance tanked, and then right in here as dominance is tanking. Okay. Is dominance tanking right now? No, it actually looks like dominance is trending up. And if we just throw on a basic buy-sell signal indicator, we are still in an uptrend. Now, could this possibly reverse, switch really quick, and all of a sudden dominance crashes down to here? Sure, it could, but it hasn't yet. So right there, I would chalk that up into crypto fear and greed, possibly being more similar to what we have here, because dominance and what it's doing is more similar to here. And I'll show you where we were in June of 2019. So June of 2019, we were here. Okay. And then we went sideways in dominance for a bit. When we got down to here, remember what I talked about December of 2020? Look where December of 2020 was. That's when dominance peaked. And so maybe you're wondering, well, maybe dominance is peaking right now. That could be similar to December of 2020. Sure, it might be. And if so, when we break the all time highs, if we continue to go higher, then you should see Bitcoin dominance dump. If Bitcoin dominance dumps and you're seeing altcoins go parabolic, absolutely nuts, then we are here and you should be getting ready to sell. But if dominance does not dump and we just keep going up or sideways, then we are here. Okay. Here's a reason, another reason I'm a little hesitant. I believe it's this one. Yeah, here we go. Oh my God. Let's take this off log. This is something I've been looking at lately and wanted to share this with you guys. So what you can see right here is the USDT. This is the Tether dominance, okay? And when Tether dominance drops, we can have these tops. And if you just draw a trend line on the lower points where it dumps to, where the Tether dominance dumps to, you can see we have some pretty big events. That's where the 2017 top was. You can check the dates at the bottom. When it touched here, that was the 2019 mid-cycle top. Okay. Over here, this was the COVID dump. So when it touched around here, February of 2020. Let's take a look where Bitcoin was in February of 2020. It's easier if I put it on the log. So as you can see here, we were going up in Bitcoin in February. And when it dumped off, that's where we're seeing that on the chart. So here we go. Got to take these off. Zoom out. Actually, automatic. And then zoom out. All right. So COVID dump right there. Just visited that. That first Bitcoin cycle top, you can see we got all the way there. Now, the thing to note with this is, look, we were at that line since February 21 and didn't exit it until May. Well, May, that's when Bitcoin started to fall off, and that's when it had that 50% correction here. It went from like 65,000 to like 30-some thousand. That's when we had that here. The next point, this is a very all-time high of Bitcoin, November of 2021. That was here. So each time we get into a top, we hit this trend line on the Tether dominance, and we have just hit it. Now, are we going to bounce off like we did the mid-cycle top? Is it like the 2017 top? Or are we going to ride up this trend line for a bit? I truly don't know. I would, looking at things as unbiasedly as I can, I feel like because Bitcoin dominance hasn't hit this upper trend line, let's throw it on here so it makes more sense. Because Bitcoin dominance hasn't gone up higher towards 60%, and yes, we have this trend line here. Now, is this accurate? Well, I've tried to angle this as well as I could. Could you take this trend line and angle it further down? Maybe you could. But to me, it looks like dominance does have further up to go. Now, maybe it gets there. Maybe Bitcoin keeps pumping, gets somewhere like 90K, and we're up here. If Bitcoin dominance is to get a lot higher and touch near this trend line or get near it very soon, then I'm going to think that we are near the end of this cycle. Each cycle, as we get up here, okay, maybe we would be near the end. And I'd be looking for Bitcoin to get at the very least in this dark orange area. And if Bitcoin topped around the halving, you'd take a look at the third box down. That would mean we're in the 116,000 to 151,000 range. That's where we would be. Another thing that gives me pause, well, two things, is one, we are getting close to the all-time high. We may even break it within the next 24 hours, and we're getting close to the halving. Bitcoin, the last couple halvings, you can see here, has had some corrections. Had a massive correction, that was COVID for that halving. And then the halving before, it peaked in price before coming down a bit. And if you're wondering what that measured move was, that was 40%. Whoop. Sorry about that. My Mac automatic finger scroll thing just, it's rough. I get too excited. I just want to show you guys things. So with the halving coming up, here's my thinking. We pumped into the ETF, and then it was a sell the news event, at least for a little bit. That was about a 20% correction, by the way. And so since then, I've been wondering, are we going to pump into the halving and then sell off? And right now we are pumping not just into the halving, but we're pumping into all-time highs as well. So I would say, gosh, we are right on right on the edge of what could happen both ways. Maybe we're gonna keep going and we're gonna have an early top. Bitcoin's gonna go to 120K. Bitcoin dominance is going to spike, like I showed you, and then fall. And this is going to happen within the next 2 to 3 months. Okay, that's what we saw in the U.S. Tether dominance chart. I'll pull that up again. But where's the next 2 to 3 months? So March, April, May, maybe even into June. Maybe the first rate cuts are in June, and rate cuts, as I've shown you guys, can signal market tops. So this was a rate cut before the COVID crash. But I want you guys to take a look at this. This was the first rate cut, the red line, when we had the great financial crisis. That was pretty much the top. This was the first rate cut in the dot-com bubble, and that was after the top. Is Bitcoin going to top out right about when we have rate cuts? And that would be, as far as what the Fed is hinting at, somewhere in June. Okay, and that's only 3-4 months away. And like I said, with that Tether dominance, maybe we only have a few months left. So if it was June would be around here. And I would expect to see a spike and then a crash, and altcoins go parabolic. If, on the other hand, we are at a mid-cycle top, well, it's showing us this right now, and we have one, here, let me zoom out here. We have 1, 2, 3. I would say this kind of glided. I know it's hard to see, but it looks like we glided along the line there, that it didn't just bounce off of it. But we've had 1, 2, 3 times where we bounced off of it, and that was a local top, and then we sold off. When we had the very high Bitcoin in 2021, November, when we had the COVID dump in February of 2020, when we had that mid-cycle top, June 2019. But when we hung around the trend line a little bit longer, those were the true tops that happened, the 2017 and the first top. So now that we're about here, we got to see what's going to happen. Now, one bit of hope I give you guys is we are still trending down. And if we go to smaller time frames, we are still trending down. When I looked at the other times where we were there, I mean, you can take a look at even the second top. Once we were into December, look, where was December? That was near the high on the RSI, at least on the daily, okay? Here you can see when we had that December 2020, okay, remember where I compared us to being right now. with December 2020 when we broke all-time highs. We touched, and we kept riding it, and the RSI slowly started to come up. Okay, so watch the RSI here on the daily. If it's slowly coming up, then maybe we have a few months. And guys, you can see here, this took about 5 months or so, 4 or 5 months. If we climb on this trend line, then maybe we are going to have an early top. Altcoins are going to go parabolic. We're going to have the first Fed rate cut. And by the time that happens, or when it happens, sell and get out. Or we're going to bounce off here like we did in the COVID dump, the second Bitcoin dump, or the second Bitcoin top, excuse me, and the 2019 mid-cycle top. That's what you need to be watching for. We have just touched it. Now what's going to happen? Now this thing is way down here. And at least on the daily, that would lead me to believe that it wouldn't just spike up all the way, that maybe it would chop around slowly, get higher and higher. Okay, I would guess. But look at the strength of this RSI move. That is huge. Something to keep an eye on, guys. I've shown you the bull case scenario and the bear case scenario. How would I play it here at Market Psychology, trying to be as low risk and as cautious as possible? For me personally, any altcoins I have, I'm not selling them right now. I always think of crypto as money that I can afford to lose. And it's kind of high risk, high reward as is if you're in crypto. I don't know if you heard my cat, but he says hi. It's already high risk, high reward. And so I don't want to sell my altcoins before they make all-time highs, because that's what's happened each of the last two cycles. The altcoins ran hard at the very end. And guys, it's like when the altcoins are going 5, 10x within a week or two, that's how you know you're at the end. And you want to sell in that point. You don't want to sell after, because when they dump, they dump. You want to sell into it. You want to sell into it. They don't hang out up here for too long. Here they hung out longer. The altcoins did near their highs than they did here. But many altcoins, you have 2 weeks maybe at the very top, a month at the local top. So be ready and do watch your altcoins maybe once or twice a week on the charts on TradingView. But yeah, now we see what Tether's going to do. Is it going to go lower? Is it going to invalidate this whole trend line? Might I have to move the trend line lower? Did I not draw correctly? That's possible. You can see I went below some things here. Okay. Is it going to spike off of it and we're going to get a big dump back to something like 39, 31K? You know, even if this is a mid-cycle top, look, we don't bounce too far back off of it. The COVID dump, yeah, we came further off of it, but then we had more room to run. And as far as my plan, even if we are in one of these situations, when it does dump, I'm just going to use that opportunity to accumulate more in the assets I like and believe in. And I am fine holding on to it. I would not, me personally, I'm not selling. Even though I'm in the green by a lot, this is money that I think can do way more. I'm going to wait for dominance. I'm going to wait for dominance to tank. And like I said, if dominance spikes up, then I'm going to be ready to tank. And I'll put out a video on that. So guys, just be ready. Make sure that you have this chart handy. Make sure you have this chart handy and are watching what the Tether dominance is doing, whether we bounce off or start riding it up. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do keep an eye on the markets. We are in extreme greed territory. Okay? We've only ever been here a couple other times. We were probably up here at the top of 2017, but as far as on this chart, there's only been 2 other times we've been up here, at the mid-cycle top and before the true top. So hedge your bets, watch the Tether dominance, and I think the Tether dominance and the Bitcoin dominance, and I think that'll give you the best indication of where we are. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nothing here is financial advice, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Take care.